Welcome, everyone, to the Up on the Soapbox podcast. This is episode 38. We got a great guest with us today. My name is Brett Schaefer. I'm one of your co hosts, and with me today, I have my partner in crime, Dan Piggott. He's also another co host. And boy, Dan, do you look bright and cheery today? What's going on?
Bright and cheery. I got my fake background going, and I'm actually working remotely today. I'll just put it that way. Actually, and working should be in air quotes a little bit because I'm out at the beach. But anyway, we have an important guest, and I am here with bells on. So let's do this.
Fantastic. Well, I hate to use a dad joke as they're called these days. By the way, why do they call them dad jokes? They're really just jokes, aren't they? They're jokes.
No,
no. There's a special breed. Is that what you're
yeah,
saying? Special genre.
there really
All right.
is.
Well,
Because my children are annoyed by them.
Nonetheless, Dan, today I am green with envy as opposed to you. You're usually green with envy, and I'm referring to our backgrounds. Dan is always trying to get to my green, and today I'd like to get to your green. So enough about us.
Actually, that kind of joke has its own name. That's called a bad joke, not a dad joke.
Fair enough. All right, we've wasted enough of Sarah's time today, so let's introduce our guest today, Sarah Thomas. She's a national account manager with American Solutions for Business. Very happy to have you on the program today. She's been a great soapboxer, and we wanted the world to meet her. For those who don't know her already, and you may know a lot of these people, because what I've learned in my internet sleuthing is that you've been with ASB for over 16 years now.
Yeah, I think
you don't look a day over 19. How's that even possible? Sarah, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, so I have been with American it'll be 17 years in December. So I was 12 when I started, and but I started just as a customer service rep up in the Philadelphia area, servicing a healthcare account. I was doing a whole lot of ink on paper at the time, just with forms. And over the years, I transitioned from a customer service role. I worked for the home office for several years, and I ran our healthcare department there. I didn't live in Minnesota, but I was traveling all over the country. And about 5-6 years ago, decided to start up my own sales team. And I still do a lot in healthcare. I do everything but print at this point. I do, heavily in apparel and promotional products. But yeah, I can't believe I'm knocking on 20 years door here doing this things with putting logos on stuff.
So how does somebody from the Northeast find themselves down in Texas?
There was a job opportunity with American, and I stepped in to assist from a home office standpoint, and I wound up never leaving.
Oh, okay.
Was your job with American your first job out of college?
It was pretty close. So I had a temp job, just, receptionist type thing. And then I worked for a law firm, and someone that worked at the law firm knew someone that worked at ASB. And long story short, I interviewed and I got the customer service job, and here I am.
Wow. So you're in the customer service role, and somewhere along the line, something clicked and you said, I could sell, I could do this. How did you work up to that moment?
Yeah, so even though I was technically customer service, I was sales support, and I was actually physically on site with the customers, and I was meeting with them regularly about form revisions and inventory. And I just found it, even though it was, paper, wasn't super exciting, but I just found it very easy to talk to the clients. And as I walked around these hospitals, I'd see all these other opportunities with the promotional items, which we weren't doing a lot of that then. And I was like, man, there's opportunities everywhere. So it seemed like a natural for me. It's not a hard sell. People are buying this stuff all the time. It's just a matter of how you present it to your clients, and I can talk to a wall. So talking to people about putting logos on things isn't that difficult for me. So it just kind of naturally flowed.
What is it like to build from ground zero, basically? Were you supplied with any kind of accounts at the beginning, or did you just build this thing from scratch?
Yeah, so we were fortunate. There was, throughout most of my career, I've kind of been a person who would go in and just fix things. If there were accounts that needed help, Sarah would wind up on the job to do that. And so there was an account in Dallas that needed some help. And so my business partner, Kathy, and I stepped in to help clean up that account. And the former sales rep wound up he was asked to leave the account. And Kathy and I took it over, and that was the start of everything. We just kind of grew from there, and we've been very blessed that we haven't had to do any cold calling. All of our clients over the years have been from referrals of people going to different jobs, or someone at, customer A refers one of their friends to us. So yeah, we were lucky. We were handed a small book of business, and we just grew it from there.
Wow. Has it morphed into, or has it developed into where you have a sort of a specialty with one sort of industry or group of end users, or are your accounts all over the map?
We are diverse, which saved us during the pandemic. Not only are we diverse in the product mix that we sell, but also clients. But healthcare is still our number one industry that we sell to.
And do the other services that ASB provides, talk to us how that dynamic works. I assume, and maybe I'm making the wrong assumption, and you'll tell me. I'm assuming it opens certain doors, and then the promo opens doors for some of those other services they provide. Just speak to that a little bit for us, please.
Yeah, I mean, when you work for American, you have a big toolbox full of a lot of different products and services that we offer. And so when we're talking to clients, you're constantly having to remind them of what you do. And I think we all know if you sell somebody Padfolios and pens for your first order, they always stick you in that box as the Padfolio and pen people. And so we're constantly reminding them of, hey, did you know that we do all these other things? And we'll do that either by presenting to them, or we'll send some virtuals of different ideas that they can potentially look at. But then if we recognize, hey, they have 20 different locations and they've got employees all over the country, let's show them our e-commerce site and show them how they can easily order business cards or sales tools for when their employees are going out and hitting the road and calling on clients. So we'll look for certain triggers, because e-commerce is something that we do a lot of. We'll look for clients that kind of fit the bill to sell e-commerce to, and then we'll present it to them either in a business review or just a simple phone call.
Interesting.
So from the outside looking in, and I don't necessarily want to turn this into an ASB infomercial, although they wouldn't mind, but
Yeah.
in your 17-ish years, I'm rounding up now and I apologize for that, but in your almost 17 years at ASB, you've probably seen a lot of change over there. From the outside looking in, it looks like they're hitting their stride. They're doing a lot of great things. What do you like most about being on the ASB team?
I like that the home office is so accessible. They support us in every which way. You can easily walk up and approach the founder and our president, as if they're friends that you've known for, 30 years. So it's a very approachable organization. And it's nice just, all of our sales reps we're all team members, right? We all lean on each other and help one another out.
You mentioned, or somebody mentioned, the diversity at ASB, and they have a separate and unique division, right, called American Diversity. I think that's the name. Talk to us a little bit about what that division does, and are you actively utilizing that aspect of the company?
Yeah, American University it's a separate company, but it's a partner basically of ASB. We sometimes refer to it as a sister company. So they're woman-owned, and they were created about 20 years ago when woman-owned businesses were something that people were getting interested in and wanted to support. So over the years, they've maintained the woman-owned certification, but they've expanded and they've partnered with other groups who have other certifications that people are looking for: veteran, Black. It just depends. So they partner with other organizations, and actually Kathy and I created our own LGBTQ plus LLC, a lot of letters in there, but we created our own distributorship doing exactly what ASB and American Diversity does. But there's a need right now.
Yeah.
Companies are looking for diverse companies, whether it's woman owned or LGBTQ owned. They're looking for that to fulfill needs as far as their buying requirements goes. And our industry is lacking still after all these years. We're still not a very diverse industry. It's changing slowly, but there was a big need out there, and so we created that company, and we're trying to help some clients fulfill the buying needs there.
All right, so you've been specifically asked about it or run into it out in the field. That's interesting. We tried to we recognize that on the Soapbox. We added some of those certification categories to your profile, or not your profile, but to all our users' profiles, so that if they are certified in some fashion, and we want everybody to know it. So listen, I think it's a growing trend in the promo space. I'd be curious to hear your take on what you think the industry could do better in that regard. I know you said we're sort of lacking diversity. We get that, but how do you fix that?
Yeah, I think it's just exposure. I mean, that's all you can do. So whether maybe you have a soapbox session that's focused just on diverse suppliers, I think it's just identifying who those companies are and then just trying to bring folks together. Whether maybe it's not even a soapbox session, maybe it's just a meeting or meeting of the minds of people getting together to recognize who's out there and what we can do as an industry to further promote it. I think there's a lot of distributors out there who don't understand it. And so they're not really sure how to get started, even though Sage and ESP have the filters to look for the diverse suppliers, with that certification. I think there still is that training need as far as, okay, great. I hear that you're an LGBTQ owned supplier, but what does that mean? How do I
Right.
use that?
Yeah. Well, that's interesting you say that. What does it mean? That is so true. Well, and I'm not sure. I don't have the answers in this category. I'm just asking the questions today. It's easier on this side of the
Yeah.
microphone.
We met with a potential client about a year ago, and they had, I think they had about $500,000 that they had to spend with a diverse supplier, and they just could not find companies to spend that much money with. So we were responding to an RFP, and they were like, "Oh my gosh, we could almost satisfy our entire diversity spend with you guys if we can land this deal." I mean, they were like, "We just cannot find companies with a certification to give our money to."
Mm, it's true. I wonder if some of the one of the PPAIs of the world, could spearhead this. What do you think, Brett?
I've seen some other groups attempt to get started down
Um,
that road. Whether or not they're successful or not, I don't know. But nonetheless, what this does is it creates some exposure. And the more exposure, the better. So I think it's a step in the right direction. I don't know how to accelerate it. I think, it's definitely something that's needed. But you know, I've looked for answers too. Be it the Black community, Hispanic community, all those certifications, women-owned business. There's just a void in this industry, and I don't have the answers here. But I think the conversation is a good one at the
Well,
very
and
least.
and there's opportunities in this industry. So it's interesting that it hasn't moved forward at a pace you might expect, because as Sarah mentions, here's a company looking to, having a $500,000 problem, and that's a pretty good problem to have for a distributor, I would think,
Let's
running
uh
into
let's
running
let's
into
come
that.
back in a year with Sarah, and we'll see how things have changed. We're going to mark
Yeah.
this moment in time. So I did want to ask one thing again as I was doing my poking around here. I see you are or you were a board member with the Irving Schools Foundation. What's their charge? What do they do?
Yeah, I still am a board member. I've been a board member of Irving Schools Foundation since 2017. So they are essentially the fundraising arm for the Irving School District in Irving, Texas. There's certain things that school districts can't apply for grants for. They can't give teachers or school district employees money for, just based on the rules of school districts or the laws around school districts. And so the Irving Schools Foundation fills a need that the school district can't fulfill, and we'll help send kids on school trips or field trips. Certain school supplies will provide. We have uniforms. We actually started to do food weekly because the Irving School District is it's in need. So about 80% of the kids get free lunches, and so they need food on the weekends. So we help them with that, and we're about a $5 million organization and one of the leading schools foundations in the country.
So I mean, it's a wonderful charge and great work you're doing. It's a shame you kind of have to do it, or that those funds aren't there. How many students are in that district?
I want to say we're at about 33,000.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, the big district,
that's
30
big.
something schools.
And 80% of them, you say, are to some extent getting the meals. That's
Yeah, actually 100% get it free lunch, breakfast and lunch, but about 80% of the school district needs it.
right.
Yeah.
Wow, it's
So
amazing.
I always admire the volunteerism of many of the guests that we have on our podcast here. So what drew you to that? What's the attraction? Do you do any other community service in any other places? Tell us about your volunteer credentials.
Yeah, I never really volunteered for anything until I moved to Texas, and I met a group of friends who my one friend Andy, who's also on the Schools Foundation board with me. He got our softball team involved with just doing some small stuff in Dallas, buying food for a food pantry. We bought school supplies for a school, and so he kind of woke up that bug inside of me, and I was president of the Irving Young Professionals organization quite a few years ago, and I met the CEO of Irving Schools Foundation, and we just clicked. She called me 6 months later and said, "Hey, I want you to join the board." I'm like, "Okay." I had no idea what a board of directors did. I had no clue. I just said yes. And fast forward, I was the president, or I was the chair of our board for 2 years during the COVID era. And
Ooh,
yeah, it was fun doing board meetings every month virtually with 30 different people.
Mm.
So yeah, I enjoy the mission. I really wanted to give back to. I lived in Irving, so I wanted to be able to give back to the town that I live in, and so yeah, I just kind of steamroll from there. I love it. It's a great
Well,
organization.
still
I want to
playing?
just move back to you said the young professionals group down there. You were president of that. Do
Yes.
you and I've heard mixed reviews about the how effective they are for promotional products distributors. What's your thoughts on that? Those types of networking groups.
Um, I don't think there's a whole lot of value from a young professional standpoint. I think it's a lot of people trying to get together, maybe meet some friends. It's full of realtors and insurance agents. And I met some nice people. I met a couple people who, were potential clients, but they were usually on their way out of the young professionals organization at that point. So I think it's good for networking. I think it's always good to keep your network deep. You never know where those folks are going to end up. But I think any chamber event or any young professionals group, it takes a lot of time and patience before you possibly land on some good opportunities.
Still playing softball in that league?
I took a little bit of a hiatus, but hopefully next year I'll be back.
Wow. Did you play all growing up and all that?
Yeah, I played most. I probably started in about fifth grade, and I played all the way through high school, and then I played for about 7 years in Texas.
Wow.
COVID put
Wow.
that on hold, so yeah.
That's impressive.
At one
Yeah, I
point,
am a little more. I'm a little more afraid of those big old hard balls coming at me in my older years, though.
Mhm.
Same reaction time.
I know the feeling well. Yeah.
so look to play in the outfield next time. That would be my only
Yeah.
advice. That way you have at least some time to line it up. I think I would love to get a promo league, but it's just impossible. Everybody's all around the country, so you're limited to the national events, and you just can't do it. I played after college as well in when I worked for the county government. We had a county league, so every department had a team, and it was a lot of fun playing as an adult. But we let's face it, we all were playing for the happy hour, so that's really what we
Right.
did. So, all right. Well, Sarah, thank you for your time today. It was great learning about you. I learned a lot about the diversity efforts at America. I didn't even know American had a sister company that was doing that. So that's really
Yeah.
fantastic. Or ASB, let's be more specific. So, but we do appreciate you being here today. We also appreciate your participation as an original soapboxer on our platform here. That's great. And all the support you've given us through our startup. So thanks for being here. We appreciate it.
Thank you, guys.